the next part that I wanted to read, and this one got me. This was one of the few moments I stopped with the book for just for a moment. But this is the character Cody is in Trevor's room, and he finds
Mm,
his backpack on the floor and finds
mm,
his creative writing journal. So it's I turned some pages, and there were only a few with writing on them. I turned to the last one, and all it said was, "People always ask me if I'm afraid of falling when I climb, and I say no. What I don't tell them is that falling doesn't scare me at all. What really scares me is that I want to jump." When I read that, the the recognition, because I'm not somebody who lives with suicidal thoughts. There are definitely moments of what would happen if,
yeah.
but there's never that's not been my journey with depression. Um,
Hmm.
but there are those moments where I think this is a lot, and
Hmm.
wouldn't it just be easier, you know? And I'm
Hmm.
able to get myself back from that, but when I read that, I just thought you captured that feeling in these words just so perfectly, and to share them. I was curious, was that something that was that based in a true moment?
He did, you know, allude to that. I didn't find it written down, but he had talked before about how he felt, drawn to the edge. And he was a climber, he was a rock climber. And uh, but there was an incident when he was in high school, and he was a junior, and it was his junior year, and it was a difficult year for him. It was a very difficult year for him. And in the middle of it, we had a cancer scare with him. He had a knot that came up under his collarbone, and his pediatrician thought that it might be some sort of lymphoma. And so we were going to get blood work done, and he had to get an MRI, and we had to get multiple MRIs. And at one point, we were driving home from the doctor's office, and he said to me, Mom, if this is cancer, I don't want any treatment. And I was shocked. I was like, don't be ridiculous, Trevor. I mean, and he said, no, I don't want to go through that. Um, but at the time, I couldn't wrap my head around that. And then when we lost him, and I thought back to that, it was that same sort of, he was not upset for 1 second during that entire um, time. And I mean, we went for about 6 months not knowing whether he had cancer or not, and and there was no relief when we found out it wasn't, and that haunted me. That moment has haunted me, and that's a very similar. What I wrote in the book was very similar to that. Like I, um, I I think he was just um, I think that at that point he was thinking of it, and we just didn't know.
Yeah,
I think he was
yeah,
already experiencing suicidal ideation. And I mean, nobody wants to think that. You don't want to think that about your child,
yeah,
you know? So I reconciled it in my own head by thinking, you know what? I don't blame him. He doesn't want to lose his hair. He doesn't want to do, you know what I mean? All of these things. And you just, you just push it and push it back. And it's like I talked about earlier with Trevor, what do you want to be when you grow up?
mm-hmm.
I don't know. I want to live in a van. I want to, it was, there was never him planning a career. There
Yeah,
was never that excitement about, I want to do this. And I should have, I guess, known. Here I am doing it again, though. God should have known.
yeah,
What if I had back then? What if,
What ifs?
I will do that for the rest of my life. I know I will.